Hey everyone, welcome back to Let's Talk Movies. I'm Brad.
I mean, nuts again, guys.
And tonight on the show, we are talking 5 things that we would really like to see from Halloween Kills. Alrighty, if you are watching or listening, today is July 5th, 2021. We hope that everybody had a great 4th of July weekend and a great start to the work week. So, Miguel, how the hell you doing, my friend?
Doing good. You could say July 5th, but people are going to hear the fireworks outside. So, July 4th. Happy Independence Day.
We are. That's why I said if you're listening to this, it's July 5th. But we're recording this on the 4th of July, late into the night.
That's
But yeah,
fair.
if you hear popping behind us, people are still doing fireworks. And let's be real, people are still doing fireworks like in the following days after the 4th of July. Because a lot of times people get too drunk and they still have fireworks left over.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm sorry.
So,
I don't. This is the first year where I didn't buy any fireworks. I'm not gonna lie.
man, fireworks are too expensive. That's my issue with them. Like, I don't know. I don't mind. I like fireworks. Like they're cool, but they're too expensive. It's
Yeah,
such a money burner.
unnecessary.
It's just like burning money to blow something up. So I don't know. I'm not really a.
It's the
I don't know.
exact definition of burning money.
Yeah, it really is. I listen. Cool. If you enjoy fireworks and you enjoy celebrating that way, sweet deal. I'll watch from a distance. I'm not gonna burn my money on it. So 5 things that we're gonna talk about tonight. Um, we're talking 5 things we want to see from Halloween Kills. Now, these are going to be very broad. They're not going to be what, we want Tommy to die, we want Allison to die. They're way broader than that. We already kind of talked about, we've already established Halloween Kills is going to be bigger, it's going to be badder, there's going to be more carnage, there's going to be more kills, yada, yada, yada. And I think we think it's going to be incredible. I don't want to speak for you. You might think it's going to be crap, but I think it's going to be really, really good.
I think it's gonna be dope too. Don't get me wrong. I mean, let's be honest. If you guys have watched the past episode, you guys can tell that like that trailer reaction that we did, I was fairly surprised. I'm not gonna lie.
He was. And we
Hmm.
talked about that in our 27th episode, too. Um, I think it has
That's
the
true.
potential to be my favorite of the franchise, and I don't say that lightly. But these 5 things that we're going to talk about are things that we really think are going to push Halloween Kills over the edge and really make it pop. But before we get into that whole discussion, did you watch anything good this week? The pressing question of the hour.
Boy, it's July 4th. You know good damn what I watched today. I
You
watched
watch
the
Independence
most
Day?
American movie ever made, Independence Day, 100%. With Will Smith and all those other Golden Cast members. I swear
In
to
1 hour, you will join militant. What does he say?
God. In 1 hour, you would join the biggest aerial combat mission
Yeah,
in
in the history
history
of
of
mankind.
mankind.
Yeah, that's an awesome
Hell
movie,
yeah!
man. I love that movie. We actually watched The
As a
Sandlot today. That was our 4th movie.
That's
It was a
fine.
good. We went wholesome. I love that movie. I hadn't seen that probably in 7 or 8 years. It's been a long time since I watched The Sandlot, but I'm glad we watched it.
It's a solid movie, and
Yeah,
100%. I think the sequel to let me just say the sequel to Independence Day trash.
I didn't see it. I really wanted to. The fact that Will Smith wasn't in it kind of pissed me off. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, there was a
It kind of
strange.
did.
There's been I don't know what's going on with Will Smith. Maybe you noticed that like that's like the second that was like the second sequel that he like just didn't want to do.
I don't
You know
know.
what I mean?
I don't know.
Because
I almost wonder
there
if
was
the
Independence Day and then there was Suicide Squad.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Will Smith. I bet he will.
Hmm.
Um,
Probably because he's going through some shit with his wife. If you guys have kept up with that, oh god,
no,
it's
I
tough.
have not. What's going on with that?
Will Smith and his wife. You don't know like there's like a TV show. There's like a series or whatever where like they sit around on the table, they have conversations, and Jada Pinkett Smith was like I think that's her name. Like there was a big thing where like she admits to like cheating on him. Have you not seen that? It's like the
No,
that
I
was like
have
the
not.
that's where the whole like crying Will Smith thing came out of. Remember that?
No.
That meme?
I guess I've been living under a rock. I
Yeah, it's been
don't
a
I don't
while.
remember this.
Yeah, but my man is taking it hard because now the new news that came out was Jada had to uh force Tupac from kicking Will Smith's ass whenever they just started dating.
Wow.
And that's some wild shit.
Wow.
Will Smith, I love you to death, man, but you're taking the most right now.
I
I feel
know.
bad for
I
you.
love him, man. I think he's a stand-up guy. I really do.
He's a wholesome guy.
He's definitely one of my favorite actors of all time.
100%. I don't want to say
I
it,
hate
but
that that's happening to him. That's a
yeah, but
shame.
it's fine. Hey, trust me, he gets over it real quick. He's very inspirational.
Speaking of actors, you followed the Bill Cosby thing at all?
Bro, let me tell you something. When we asked to free someone, it wasn't Bill Cosby. We wanted to free Britney Spears. Let's be honest. I'm sure all of us wanted Britney Spears to be free from her conservation
Yeah.
shit.
I don't
But
know.
then the universe just decided, hey, we give you Bill Cosby. And we're like, no, we don't
I
want
was
that.
I was watching a thing about the Bill Cosby thing on the news the other night, and it's not. I don't know if that was the right move. I mean, like I'm not.
I
I don't
don't
know. He's older. I don't know if he'll probably walk on eggshells for the rest of his life. But the guy was guilty. Like I'm sorry, but he was. I mean,
I'm sure he was. I think they're declaring a mistrial or whatever. But come on, guys. We know good and damn well what his deal was. It was the
I know,
80s, and
I
that was like
know,
the
I
norm.
know.
It just so happens that he was caught and he deserved to be punished.
Was that the norm though?
So, bro, in the 80s, it was such a big thing.
Hmm.
You know what? You need to watch.
What?
You need to watch Joe Rogan's new podcast with Quentin Tarantino.
Whoa! I
Yep,
need to see that.
that's that's
Dang.
been one of the longest thing I've been watching for a while. And he talked about the whole spiel with do you know there's another like scandal with like Miramax, like the chairman of Miramax. He did a lot of fucked up shit, and Quentin Tarantino was, in that studio because I
Mm,
mean it produced like most of his movies at the
yeah.
time, and he said, that they gave him a tour of the studio, and it gave him to like the chairman's office,
Hmm.
and it was a nice office, but then he said, "You want to see what's in the back?" And when you open up the back, it's this nice office, but then in the back is a king size bedroom behind his office. That puts it in
No,
perspective. Yeah,
dude. I swear. I know we have a show about movies. We love movies. We love Hollywood. But God, Hollywood can be a screwed up place.
it's a fucked up place.
There are
The fact that
some
that
there are
is
some and just like we talked about with Will Smith, there are some stand-up people. There are some stand-up folks in Hollywood. And I'm not saying that it's a small minority, but that small minority, there are some real pits in Hollywood, man, that are just I don't fall into. Like I don't
as
know.
in every type of like situation at hand, there's always gonna be some bad apples in the group.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah,
when I tell you like that back then, that was a norm. I mean, unfortunately, it really was a norm, and it's fucking disgusting the fact that someone has to
yeah.
do that just to make it to the top. And yeah,
Uh,
when Quentin Tarantino said that, I was like, holy shit.
yeah,
The
it's
fact
pretty
that
bad.
was like, I'm pretty sure that was probably in every single executive's
Well,
office,
that's getting
a
into some
fucking
Harvey
single
Weinstein
room.
crap, you know?
Yeah, he mentioned talking to Harvey Weinstein about it,
Really. There's a
or like, cause
lot
like,
of people that have come forward about him.
yeah, well, Quentin Tarantino, he he worked with the executive at Miramax, and he also worked with Harvey Weinstein. I think it was on Kill Bill, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And he said he pretty much could tell like they were doing some weird ass shit
Hmm.
because they're like secretary chasers. What he meant, what he called them.
Yeah.
It is like it's kind of like
Yeah.
Mad Men a little bit, where like they chase after the
They
innocent
almost
secretary
prey
or
on their
whatever.
secretaries. And again, it's not everybody. It's not everybody. If you have a secretary, it's not that, and you work in Hollywood, that doesn't mean But it happens, and it sucks. It's really crappy.
Yeah, but yeah, watch your shit, guys. I swear to God,
Yeah.
you'll get caught. You're gonna get fucked
Speaking of
if you try that shit.
speaking of Quentin Tarantino, this just crossed my mind. Did you see? Um, I believe he said that he is considering his last film to be Kill Bill 3. Yeah.
I don't think so. I think
And
they talked about it. I don't
I
remember.
believe he mentioned casting what's her name? Uma Thurman? Is that her
Mm-hmm.
name? And
Mm-hmm.
her daughter who played she was in Stranger Things. Who am I talking about?
Wait, what?
What's her name? Her daughter was in Stranger Things. She played the the new girl, the newer girl. That's Jonathan and yeah, that's her daughter.
Oh shit,
That's
that's dope.
her and who? I gotta look this up. Who? As I knock my mic down. Uh, whose daughter is she? It's Uma Thurman and someone else.
Her daughter.
No, who's her husband?
Well,
Oh,
what's
Ethan
the?
Hawke. Ethan Hawke.
Okay.
Uma Thurman and Ethan Hawke had a daughter, and her name is Maya. That's right, I'm an idiot. And she is in Stranger Things. Well, Quentin Tarantino said he is considering his last movie to be Kill Bill 3, and that he would cast Uma Thurman and Maya Hawke in it as well.
That makes no sense.
I know. I was never a big Kill Bill guy. I don't know how they would do that, but still. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that's the movie I'd go out with for him, though. I mean, like, he's done so many good ones that
Yeah, it makes
I
no
don't
sense to
I feel
it
like
makes no sense
that's
to continue it.
out of all the movies he's done, I feel like that's kind of at this point of like where we are currently, I feel like that's kind of low on the totem pole for Quentin right now. But I don't know.
It is.
I don't know. He almost wrote Halloween 6.
I don't even know what Halloween Six is. I don't know what the story's about.
I know you haven't seen that. That's next to catch you up on the original sequels. But yeah, he almost wrote the sixth one, and it was going to be
Oh, wow.
that wild. But
Yeah. I mean, he's made some pretty gory shit. I mean,
yeah.
the worst one I can think of is what's it called? It has Kurt Russell in it. He drives like he's like a serial killer in a car. You know what I'm talking about?
Uh,
I think it's
no,
if you guys know what I'm talking about, like please like speak
I
up.
don't know which
But
one you're talking about. Um, anyways, I watched. Well, I finished Breaking Bad this week. Finished the series,
Mhm.
and actually tonight I just watched El Camino, and I feel like there's a little hole deep in my heart that I can't fill. um, so it was a good ending. I liked the ending. It's just like I don't know. When I finish a show, I always feel like there's a little bit of a void in my life for about a month, and then I get over it. But man, Breaking Bad. I actually have a poster on the way, um, and I have a Breaking Bad poster on the way, and I just looked up. There's a collector's edition box set of all 6 seasons, and a collector's edition of El Camino, and I'm seriously considering buying it. And it would probably be about a $90. It'd probably be about it might be $100 for shipping, but it's such a good series, man. If you guys have watched Breaking Bad, you know what I'm talking about. It's incredible. I mean, Miguel, I've got 3 or 4 Walking Dead posters in here. You know how much of a Walking Dead guy I am, and Breaking Bad may be the superior AMC show to The Walking Dead.
Damn, I didn't even know. I didn't even know El Camino was a movie. You guys kept talking.
Yeah.
You kept talking about it, and I was like, I have no idea
Yeah,
what you're
they
saying.
did a sequel about like what happens to Jesse after the show ends, and it was very good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Yeah, so it was I really liked it. We also started The Sopranos again, which Italian
You guys are that prequel that's coming out.
yeah, which looks phenomenal. But I've wanted to rewatch The Sopranos. When I was little, I remember it always being on at my grandparents' house. Um, and just I just remember like seeing it on when I was a kid, and I've always wanted to like actually sit down and do a run through now that I'm old enough to appreciate it
Mm-hmm.
and like appreciate like what they're saying and what's going on. So I'll probably stick with that one. I don't know if Julia's gonna get into it, but I I want to watch it, so that'll probably be my thing. I did restart The Walking Dead, but that's gonna be a slow burn. I'm not just gonna sit and binge it. I'm just gonna go like a few episodes a week. But so let's talk some Halloween kills. You good with that?
Let's do it.
get into our main shiznit
The main event.
of the evening. So as we said before, this list we compiled is very broad. It's not very specific, but all of these things kind of correlate and play off of each other a little bit.
Hmm.
And um, again, we just think that these are five things that if Halloween Kills can achieve this, it'll send it to the moon.
To the
Um, to
moon.
the moon. Also, to reiterate this, we have not read the leak script. We know about the flashback. We know about Loomis. We know about the surface level kind of things of what to expect, but overall, we don't know the hardcore specifics. Um, so, with that being
But
said,
yeah, if
don't
you
be throwing
guys, those of
spoilers
you
in the
that
comments.
read, oh, okay, I'm about to say, well, don't throw spoilers, but if you've read the leaked comment, just tell us if we're hot or cold as to what we
That's
hope to
fair.
see.
That's fair.
Yeah, yeah,
I
I'll
know
take
there
that.
is a. I actually accidentally joined it, and then I had to click off of that thing. There is a out of the admins over at the Halloween fans Facebook group. There's quite a few different
Mhm.
Halloween fan groups on Facebook, um, but the admins made a Halloween Kills spoiler group. So if you have read the leak script, you can talk about it with those people in there. Luckily, when I accidentally joined before I realized what it was, uh, there weren't that many people in there, and I don't know. I hopped out of there. I left it because I don't want the movie spoiled for me. I'm fine with knowing that there's a Loomis cameo. I'm fine with knowing about the flashback. I'm like there are certain things I'm okay with knowing, but I don't want to know which characters die, you know? And I know the trailer kind of gave some of that away, but it didn't give any big ones away. You know, we don't know about Tommy, we don't know about Lindsay, we don't know about Karen and Allison, although I have my guesses on who's the most likely to go. As I'm sure you do and as I'm sure everybody does. But First thing, first thing I wanted to talk about. So last week we released a video clip. I believe it was on Tuesday. Tuesday maybe, I don't know.
Yeah,
We were talking about the fact that the 2018 Myers is so much more brutal than the 1978 Myers, and that we felt like it kind of posed an interesting question: has Michael Myers evolved from his 21-year-old self to his 60-year-old self in 2018? Now, obviously, I don't literally mean like has he physically or like literally or physically evolved. Has he like changed? Has he gained more muscle mass and become hulkish or whatever? Uh, I just mean in the mystery, the nature of the character, has that changed? Has he become a darker, more intense version of himself and a more significant presence than he already was? Um, basically, is this the version that Dr. Loomis was so afraid of? Is this what he was trying to prevent? And I think that's a pretty fair question, don't you?
yeah. So like, what? Wait, explain that further. Like, what kind of Michael are you expecting to see here
Well, I mean, it's going to be brutal. We know
in
that. I
terms of
mean,
his age? Like, what significance does his age play in this? Like, what are you expecting?
well, okay. So in the trailer, we talked about the line where Laurie says, the more he kills, the more he transcends. And I kind of brought it up last week a little bit, but I wanted to expand on it more because I felt like it's almost kind of crazy to equate 1978 Myers to 2018 Myers, because you would think the 21-year-old version of him would be more physically able to do some of the things,
Mm-hmm.
like to do more, to be more brutal. And then typically as you get older you get weaker, you know you can't do the same. And I know there are some jacked 60-year-olds out there, but typically when the older you get, the less you can do. Um, but this version of Michael almost seems to have flipped that. um, the 60-year-old Michael that we are about to see in Halloween Kills is almost, I mean, 10 times more brutal than what we saw originally. Um, I mean, look at the first film. Michael kills Annie, he kills Linda, he kills Bob, which is possibly the most iconic kill of the entire franchise when he lifts him up and like pins him to the wall with the knife. He killed Judith, obviously, when he was a kid. That was his first kill. There's the dog. There's Lester, Annie's poor dog that he strangles in the OG.
Spoiler alert.
And I know. And obviously, there's the spoiler. What the hell are you talking about?
I
These
haven't
people
seen
have
it.
seen the original Halloween.
Well, I haven't.
Yeah, you haven't in a while, but
Hmm.
there's the guy Loomis finds on the side of the road. But none of the deaths, with the exception of Bob, are really that brutal. I mean, nothing. It's nothing like we're seeing in Kills. I mean, he doesn't take the axe paladin thing and lift somebody up. He doesn't. It seems more brutal, and it almost seems like it's defying uh, what somebody could physically do at that age. That might sound a little insensitive to say that his kills in 1978 weren't as brutal as then. Obviously, he's killing people. But so that's kind of what I mean. It seems like the 2018 version of him is more physically able and physically fit to do crazier kills and to do crazier things and survive crazier scenarios than the original version of him could. It's kind of strange, you know, and it feeds into the mystery and the mystique of him. How is a 60-year-old man? A, how did he survive the fire? B, the homeboy's been shot, stabbed, punched. I mean, he's been almost burned alive. At this point, he's taken his toll of a beating as well, you know, and he's still just kicking like nothing's going on.
Hmm.
So, I mean, do you have any thoughts? Uh, just kind of before we even dive in further, do you have any thoughts on, you know, how is this even possible? Or is it, are we not supposed to understand how it's possible?
I mean, whenever I saw this trailer, I mean, I was more intrigued with how he was able to like still be this killing machine despite his age. Because like in my head, I was hoping on him just being like, I was kind of hoping on him like showing his age. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like show that he is a 62-year-old man. So like most of the stuff he can do is like not really all that well. But
Yeah.
instead, at the beginning, like before I even saw this trailer, I was expecting us to see a old man Michael like actually show like his age coming, but I think we're just moving way past that, and we're going into the mystery and mythology of Michael Myers. Because I mean, this guy's obviously way more stronger than what he was in
Yeah.
the first Halloween movie. So like, it's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how they play off the lore of Michael Myers,
Right.
because in our eyes, we've seen him in like a multitude of movies, and the town's eyes in the movie, they've only seen him what, twice now at
Yeah.
this point. It was the initial one, and then there was
And
his
tonight,
return right
yeah.
now. Yeah. So it's gonna be like they don't know anything about this man except the fact that he's been around for this long and he's still just as much as a killing machine.
Right.
So it's like, and I'm sure there's been plenty of like, I'm thinking within the universe of this movie, like I'm pretty sure there's plenty of like horror stories, ghost stories, supernatural stories about
It's been
Michael Myers. So
he's a
like,
legend at this point, you know,
yeah,
because of what happened.
he's became a legend. So knowing that this um human being or just supernatural human being is back out into the wild, I mean, the sky's the limit to what these people think he can do.
I
You know what I
know.
mean?
Well, and you
So
also have to think too, though, you know, as a person, you know, there's two ways they could think about this. Like you said, they could be like, "Holy crap, something's really wrong here," or they could get cocky, mob mentality.
mhm,
They get cocky and they're
mhm.
like, "60-year-old man, like he can't take all of us."
I want to see
You
that.
know what I
I
mean?
want to see someone
Uh,
say that in the
and
movie.
again, you know, you mentioned this last week, and I loved it. And we're going to talk about this a little further into the night too. We're just getting started. Uh, where you know the idea of fear spreading. Um, I mean, they probably do start off cocky. They're like, we can take this guy, like the 60-year-old man. We got this. Like he can't take us all on. But when they start losing and they start finding more and more and more of the town
Bodies.
gone, it's just like, What the what? Like, how is it? This doesn't make any sense. Um, I kind of equate the here's my train of thought. When Laurie says the more he kills, the more he transcends, uh, there's a point that Laurie is trying to make. She's trying to emphasize the same thing that Dr. Loomis was when he was talking to Brackett in the original movie. You know, when Loomis is sitting in the Myers house and he says, I met him 15 years ago. I was told there was nothing left. No reason, no conscience, no understanding, even the most rudimentary sense of life or death, blah, 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 blah. I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face with the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes, blah, yada, yada, yada. Loomis is trying to be like, yo, because Brackett doesn't really believe him. He's like, there is something wrong. Like, this is not your normal everyday dude. Something is like really wrong with him. Like, there is a supernatural edge to him that I can't explain. I can't reach him. He's silent. He doesn't talk. He doesn't do anything. He just exists. And he's trying to say there's nothing remotely left human in him. He is a shape. He is the shape. He is a living, breathing shell of a human being. So Laurie saying that makes sense. And I think every character has a natural evolution. And yes, even Michael Myers does, because I'm sure there are some people that would disagree with me on that. But the question here is this a massive shift in who the character is? Or is it just the natural progression and the natural evolution of his character? I think it's not a massive shift. I think, basically this is a continuation. This is the next step in his evolution. Laurie saying that because Laurie is obviously taking on the Dr. Loomis role here. Laurie saying the more he kills, the more he transcends is a continuation of what Loomis said in 1978. Would you agree?
I would agree.
I think that's kind of how I've played it up in my mind. I think it's a really interesting conversation to have because I know a lot of people kind of think about this differently. And I mean, obviously, you can't take it quite as literally as this, but it's almost if Laurie is saying the more he kills, the more supernatural he becomes. It's like the more he defies logic and defies death, you know? The evolution.
It's like a succubus kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, like he takes more energy from his victims,
Yeah.
and the more he takes, the more powerful he becomes.
It feeds him. Like it feeds his anger. It whatever it is that drives him. And of course, we can't know what it is that drives him. That's the whole point is you have no idea why. Whatever it is that drives him is fed when he's like the more he does this, the more it feeds that. It's like throwing gasoline on the fire. I feel like the evolution of his character within this new trilogy and within this timeline is about the mystery. It's about the mystery surrounding him. It's a 60-year-old man, and it makes absolutely no sense that he can pick a dude up with an axe and bust glass with his bare hands and survive being shot and stabbed and everything in between. But it furthers the mystery. It's the secret that we can't figure out, and that's why he's so scary. That's why I think he's always going to be scarier than Freddy and Jason. Freddier, scarier than Freddier. I think that's why he's going to be scarier than Freddy because there's a realness to him. We don't understand him. You understand why Freddy does what he does. You understand why Jason does what he does. You kind of understand why Leatherface does what he does. Darth Vader, Thanos, you understand why they're doing what they're doing. Him, there's no motive. There's no clear reasoning as to why he does it. Now in Halloween Kills, maybe part of the shift of an evolution of his character, maybe we kind of solved the puzzle. Like, not really solved the puzzle, I guess, overall. But the fact that Laurie tried to burn him in the house, he's pissed. Like at this point, he is pissed. I think it's safe to say that. And I mean, you may disagree with me, but I think at this point in the night, in the first film, maybe not. I don't think he was specifically going after her. In this film, which is literally minutes later, I think he's pissed. He's going after her. He is purposely trying to find her. And again, haven't read the script. I could be completely wrong. But that's just kind of that's my train of thought.
you notice that Laurie just does, like, in the trailer it shows Laurie and Michael just don't meet in the trailer. Like they have
They
not
really don't.
came face to face.
And I kind
It
of
was
don't
mainly
expect them
the
to.
daughter and the granddaughter.
Yeah.
I mean, so you're not expecting Laurie and Michael to meet up at this movie?
No, and we'll talk about why. I told you all of this is connected. Every single like point we
Hmm.
have um is they kind of interloop with each other. I don't expect Laurie and Michael to have really any interaction, if any, in this movie. I think if it were me, if I was writing the script, I would save that for Halloween Ends because this is, how do I put it? I don't know. This is the Infinity War chapter of this new trilogy. Like it wouldn't have made sense for all of the Avengers to come together in Infinity War because then where you go. Uh I feel like it wouldn't make sense because in the end, at least in my mind, it has to come down between Michael and Laurie. Like you can throw the US military if you want at him, but it's not going to be meaningful unless it's Laurie and Michael, unless it's the two of them going head to toe because that's the whole purpose. The tagline of the 2018 film was what was it? Fight your fate? No. Something about
They had
fate.
fate.
But that's
They
the
had
whole.
fate in it. Jesus.
Yeah, that's the whole. I mean, even look back to in the original film, her when Laurie looks out the window and he's like watching her from the car out front in school. Her teacher's talking about fate. I mean, fate is the whole deal with her character. That's part of her, um, part of the story for her character. And I feel like her fate is to die killing Michael. I think they need to die killing each other. Um, so yeah, I feel like this should not be Laurie shouldn't be the focus of Halloween Kills. And actually let's talk about that a little bit. I'm glad you said that because um I think the focus, this is my second point here. The focus of Halloween Kills needs to be on Haddonfield, on our secondary characters, if you will, and their response. Um, Evil dies tonight. The tagline for Halloween Kills. It's going to be really important to the trailer, but also after looking into it, I think it's got a bigger meaning for the overall plot and the direction of the movie as a whole.
Hmm.
Uh,
Do
at
you think
first,
I was gonna say, so you think, like, I don't want to like jump ahead, but you think
you're
this
good.
movie's obviously just gonna be about Haddonfield against versus Michael?
I do. I think
Like it
this
could
is gonna.
almost be a Michael Myers versus Haddonfield titled movie. Like you could honestly just put that title right there and it makes
Yeah,
sense.
I think it needs to be. I think this needs to be the this needs to be where it hits the fan like hard,
Hmm.
like the train comes grinding to a stop, like there's a problem. um at first past when Laurie says evil dies tonight in the trailer, when her and Karen are sitting in the room, uh I think it reflects her anger, it reflects her frustration, and it emphasizes the fact that she means business. She's like, this is happening, like we're killing him tonight. And that she's going to do anything and everything in her power to ensure, like she says, that Karen and Allison don't have to keep running. His rampage is over tonight. But if you dig a little bit deeper, I feel like there's a little bit more to that line. Um, and a few days ago, I may have tagged you, I don't know, on a Halloween Kills or a Halloween fan group. Honestly, I don't even remember which one it was. Uh, but I saw this and I wanted to talk about it because there's still some discussion on what exactly the crowd is chanting outside of the hospital in the trailer. Um, we both agreed, I think they're saying evil dies tonight, right? Would you
Yeah,
agree with that?
I
Uh,
agree.
and obviously, the mob and the whole mob mentality is going to play a huge role because the working title was Mob Rules and blah, 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 blah. We're fairly certain that they are chanting evil dies tonight. And I find it interesting that Laurie says that verbatim in the hospital to Karen, and coincidentally, not only is the crowd chanting that, but that's kind of the
That theme,
the theme of this movie, or the what am I trying to say? The phrase, the
the slang, the term.
I don't know
The
what I'm trying to say.
slogan,
You know what I mean.
trademark.
You know what I'm trying to say. Uh,
Yeah.
it's just it's coincident.
Hmm.
And again, we haven't read the leaked script. But my guess is that Laurie is going to have a Braveheart, this is Sparta moment with the crowd, where she inspires them to fight back against Michael. A call to arms. It's her way of ensuring that he will die tonight. He again, that's part of her doing everything in her power, even though she's injured. She just came out of surgery, probably. She probably figures if she can get other people to fight with her, her odds are better. If you can get
Hmm.
her plus her family plus the survivors of the original night in '78 plus the cops plus armed civilians, if everybody can rise up, your rednecks with guns, it's the 4th of July, America. If you can get all of that rolling, there's no way he can win. And again, when you read the updated synopsis, it makes sense, because the synopsis part of it says, as Laurie fights her pain and prepares to defend herself against him, she inspires all of Haddonfield to rise up against their unstoppable monster. The Strode women join a group of other survivors of Michael's first rampage, who decide to take matters into their own hands, forming a vigilante mob that sets out to hunt Michael down once and for all. Evil dies tonight. So again, there's Evil dies tonight again. I think the focus of this thing needs to be on the people of the mob. It needs to be on Karen and Allison and Tommy and Lindsay and Marion and Lonnie and everybody from the original movie fighting with the mob. Does that make sense?
Hmm. Yeah.
Would you
And I can
agree?
agree. I would agree. And that's honestly the reason why I'm hyped for this movie, because it's honestly like what I would imagine a situation like this would occur. Like if there was a serial killer out there and about and it's just been causing such a ruckus, I mean, you would expect like the people of that town to come together. There
Right.
is a hmm, there is a this reminds me of a unsolved mystery episode of this gentleman who is just he's well known. I think it was like in the 80s. He's a well known individual in the town, and he's infamously known in that town to just cause hell for the entire community. Like
Yeah.
if you read up on his activities, he was just a terrible human being. And it got to the point where there was a town hall, just to figure out how do we stop this
Really?
man from continuing to
Wow.
terrorize the city? Yeah,
That
and
that actually sounds pretty
it's
similar.
interesting.
Except
Yeah,
this is going to be a little more on the spot.
yeah, it's gonna be a little more on the spot. Obviously, the case, like at the end, like I'll tell you the way the case goes. Like obviously, town hall leaves and everyone's already pissed off, and there's like a mob going to the nearby bar where this gentleman's at, and one of the individuals shoots him, and
Yeah.
kills him on the spot. And the reason why it's unsolved is because the killer was never caught in front of 30 or 40 people. This man killed this infamously terrorizing gentleman of that town, and yet nobody knows who did it. So that's why it's an unsolved
Wow.
murder.
Yeah.
But it pretty much it's pretty much the same thing as what we're going to be seeing right now. It's basically the town
Right.
saying, we're tired of this serial killer. We're tired of him terrorizing us and killing so many people. So we're just going to come together and
Yeah.
go for it and just hunt this man down.
This happened once before. It's happening again. It stops here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It stops here. Yep.
Yeah. You know what else I
There's no
find?
third time's a charm here.
Yeah. You know what else I find really interesting? And
What?
I'm just kind of thinking about this now. I find it really interesting that they emphasize the survivors of the 1978 night he came home.
Mm-hmm.
Because, again, if you're focusing on the mob and you're focusing on the people of Haddonfield, obviously the people that ran into him originally are going to have more emotional investment in that than,
Mm-hmm.
hey Ron, yeah, do you remember that murder that happened like 40 years ago? Well, he's back. You got any guns? Yeah. Yeah. Uh well, we're going to meet at the hospital. Lock the kids in the basement and we'll see you there. Okay.
Yeah, pretty much. And
What would you I'm sorry, what would you do if your neighbor called you and was like, "Do you remember that guy? He broke out like 40 years ago?" Yeah, he's back. there's a mob. There's a mob. You want to go? We're gonna hunt this
Evil.
down. You want to go? Let's go. Let's do it. What would be your
It's like
response?
it's like it's like the town. It's like that scene in the town where Ben Affleck goes up to Jeremy Renner, who's like, "I need your help. You can't ask me about it. You can't talk to me about it later on in the future. And we're gonna need your car. And there's no more questions. And we're gonna hurt some people." And then, or I fucked up that line. I'm sorry, guys. I really did. But nevertheless, after Ben Affleck made that request, Jeremy Renner just sitting there like this. He's just like, "So whose car are we taking?" Like it's just straight up loyal. Just I'm ready for action.
You hang up the phone.
Guys,
We'll be there in 10 minutes. Hey kids, you want to go to Disney World? Because we're getting out of here.
yeah,
We're
yeah,
not
exactly.
staying here.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I would have much rather had people just, well, I don't know. It would have made sense if there were some of the survivors. They're just like, "No, we're not doing that. We're not helping. We're getting the fuck out of town."
You'd have an "it's me, Billy" moment. Hangs up the phone. We're getting out.
We're getting out. Yeah,
we're not doing this. We're leaving.
We're getting the fuck out. But the difference is obviously is the fact that, like, I mean, we know where he's at. We know what he's doing. So we just got to go down there and stop him. It's like saying, "Hey, Brad, there's like 3 deers outside. Let's go hunting." It's like, "Okay, fine. We're going hunting straight up." Or it's just something like that. It's like pretty simple. It's like, "Hey, there's this crazy bear outside. We got to take him out." So
this bear's got rabies.
Totally see that. This bear's got rabies and it's fucking shit out.
But anyways, jokes aside, obviously the survivors of the 1978 attack are going to have more trauma. They're going to have more memory. They're going to have more of an emotional pull to do this. Chaos, fear rising up, the spreading of fear and misinformation amongst a whole group of people, especially in the modern age with your phone. Yeah, and David Gordon Green said that this movie is largely about fear spreading amongst people and how misinformation spreads, and the mob mentality of, like, let's face it, you know how people are. I mean, look at they get headstrong, and like you said earlier, they get cocky and they're like, "Oh, we're going to take this guy down," and then it's like, what's going on? What is that?
Die. I will die if there's like, "Guys, we got to get a Facebook group going right now. Everyone invite whoever's in there." And then, like, everyone's like looking through their phones and be like, "Okay, it's Jeremy said that he's in the park, but Tommy said that he's over there at the shopping mall, but blah, 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 blah." Oh my god, I would fucking die.
Yeah,
if that's how it would be. That'd be hilarious.
Well, it's funny. Hilarious. I think it's in. Is it in Halloween 1 or is it in Halloween 2? At one point, when Loomis finally, like, convinces Brackett that, like, something is really wrong and that, like, he needs to be afraid of this, Brackett is like, "So what do we do?" And he's like, "Well, I'm going to call it in or whatever." And he's going to, like, tell the rest of the force. And Loomis is like, "No." Loomis is like, "Don't do that." He was like, "If you tell people, they're going to see him in every house and on every street corner. And they're, you know what I mean? It's going to be chaos at that point. People are going to think they see him everywhere because it's Halloween. Everybody's dressed up. Everybody's wearing a mask. Everybody's out partying and getting drunk and getting high and, trick-or-treating and stuff. I mean, that's Halloween. It's what people do. And that, again, it's just kind of a fun parallel for what this is going to be compared to the original, because Loomis was trying to stop the misinformation. He was trying to, like, nip it in the bud before it became something really bad. And this is that, like, the cops and Laurie, like, I don't know, Laurie might not want to nip it in the bud. She probably wants this to happen so that she's got an army, But, and again, that thing you said a couple shows ago, maybe in our reaction, I don't know, about, the angry mob. They look pissed. They look angry. They look like they're not going to let anything get in their way to take him down. And when, when you had said about, everything is serious and you're all gung-ho and ready to go until, you have all these people against one person, one old person, and you're still losing. And that's scary. Like, that's kind of like, what's going on? Like, how is this even possible? Again, kind of goes back to what we were talking about. And again, I think a lot of these people don't really understand the gravity of the situation, but the people that have interacted with him. Tommy and Lindsay, obviously, they were kids. We don't really know what they remember. But Tommy and Lindsay have interacted with him. Laurie's definitely interacted with him. At this point, Karen and Allison have had run-ins with him. I mean, Marion, people like that have all been around him. They know what he can do. Um, it's kind of funny. Do you think that Laurie will see people in the mob as like collateral damage?
I could see that. I
I
could see
know.
that.
I mean,
Be
I
like,
don't think she's gonna be
I'd
like,
be like, she like Robert Morgan. Just check the house. He might be in there.
but why?
And if
What
you
if
die, we
shouldn't
know.
shouldn't we all go in? What if he's just go in the house? Just go check the house.
Yeah,
That's
just go
all.
in the
That's
house.
your only job. I don't
I
know.
could totally see that.
Who knows? Honestly, it would be a really good angle if a lot of them do die. Maybe she feels guilt, and maybe that's part of her character arc going into Halloween Ends. Because again, I think Halloween Ends needs to be Laurie versus Michael. Like I wholeheartedly, I think that needs to be like the focus of it. Um,
Hmm.
maybe she's. I think Laurie's got every intention of going after him herself, but maybe she's trying to let them soften him up a little. Maybe they'll injure him a little bit and maybe die along the way, but then I'll go, by the time I get to him, he'll be softened up a little bit and I can kill him. So,
Hmm.
I don't know. Interesting thought. But again, I think the focus of Halloween Kills on uh should be on the people of Haddonfield, the mob, and kind of our secondary slash returning characters from 1978. Um, we know the movie is going to feel bigger, it's going to feel badder, and if you're going to make a movie feel larger, if you're going to make a film larger, uh, you got to make the story seem broader, and the soundscape has to reflect that. Which kind of brings me to my next point here. And there are multiple points in the Halloween Kills trailer where we hear the Halloween theme on a cello, on strings. And I have said for years that I would love to see a Halloween film take on the orchestral thing and play around in that soundscape a little bit. And you can still have nods to the original piano based, keyboard based, like synth stuff, and even use it for certain moments. But it'd be amazing to see that come to fruition. Would you
Like
agree with that?
you want the climactic like moment to have like the main theme, but in like a more grander score other than the piano and synth.
Yeah, it's got to if the movie's going to feel bigger, if you're writing a bigger script with a bigger idea and if it's going to be if it's going to be broader on a broader scale, the music has to reflect that. Um and if you're a listener, I'm a music guy. I've got a music degree. I went the education route and I'm a teacher, but sound's my thing. Miguel was even a music person for a long time. You still are. I still consider you a music person.
That ended within a year.
What?
I said that ended within a year.
um,
But yeah, I do get the whole thing with the whole music and how it affects movies in general. Like I'm a big believer in the score has to complement the movie. And I've
it
seen
does.
movies where the score really takes away from it, and that's a real shame. But I
Mhm.
will um, recognize movies that actually
Yeah.
utilize the use of their score to enhance the story.
Right.
So, and in regards to like Michael Myers' theme, even though I've never been like a Michael Myers fan to begin with, I mean, we all knew what Michael Myers'
Oh,
theme
it's
was. Like
iconic.
as
It's
soon as yeah,
iconic.
as soon as you hear it, you know Michael Myers theme. That's
Yeah.
immediately on the spot.
Right.
So, I think throughout all the other sequels, there really hasn't been much change to that degree of
Yeah.
how they used it to enhance the story. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like this is the first time I've heard this.
Halloween H2O came the closest. It did have an orchestral thing going. Um, it wasn't. I didn't like some of the choices that the composer made. I'm not sure who. I forget who arranged that. But again, the story's got to be. If the story's larger, the score's got to be larger. And John Carpenter, Daniel Davies, Cody Carpenter, they're more than capable of doing it. But if it's done right, you shouldn't even notice it. You know, if it's done right in the moment, you shouldn't even notice. I loved a lot of the liberties that they took with the score in the 2018 version. Look at like the shape burns is a perfect example. Well, it's the Halloween theme that's playing at the end when the house is burning and he's trapped. But it's the same theme, but it's got different harmonies. It's got different chords underneath. Uh, and I'm gonna flex my music teacher skills a little bit. I got my keyboard sitting here because I wanted to bring this up.
Mhm.
I think it's important. Uh, the way that you make a musical idea sound bigger is in the orchestration, or it's in like the combination of instruments uh, that you have to use for that theme or whatever, uh, and that idea. Miguel, brother, if you got anything to add, chime in. All right.
With the music theory of this fucking movie, I got no
Yeah. I
clue.
mean,
You
I'm not
lost
going
me.
into music theory, but I thought it'd be a cool way to just
Well, I'm
demonstrate what I was talking about here.
well, you demonstrated for us, buddy, and I'll comment on it. I
Well,
mean, I agree with you wholeheartedly. The fact that the in the trailer, we can tell immediately that the score is going to be much bigger than
yeah.
previous installments,
Right.
100%.
And I loved that. It was one of the things that jumped out at me with this trailer is I was like, "Oh." I was like, "Oh." Kind of knocked me down a little
Yeah.
bit. I was like, "That's pretty dope." Obviously, you
Hmm.
got the Halloween theme. Obviously, everybody knows that. Duh.
Hmm.
Uh, but the interesting thing is a lot of times uh, you hear it on a cello. And it just does it in little tidbits at first, and then towards the end of the trailer, it gets it gets a little bit thicker. It's more, it's more robust. It's a more emphasized in there. And the
That sounded Celtic for a minute.
Yeah, maybe. And of
It
course, I'm
really
playing it on
did.
a keyboard. I mean, it's not perfect. I
Yeah.
will say though, a lot of times, man, they don't even hire real people to do this stuff anymore because there are computerized sounds that are so real sounding. I mean, I guarantee you, half of maybe even more than half of the Hollywood scores that you hear these days are computerized. It's not real people because
Most likely.
it's one or two people versus paying an entire orchestra. It's cheaper. Um, the cello is a gorgeous instrument, man. Deep, rich sound. Uh, it conveys emotion really, really well, and I'm really glad that they used that with the theme. Um, Now you put that same Halloween theme with a full orchestra. If you orchestrate it that way and you add in all of these different instruments and you spread it out that way, I mean, it's pretty crazy. I'm not a pianist, so that probably sounded like garbage. But you get the idea. It sounds bigger. It sounds uh, again, you're making the story sound bigger. The score has to reflect that. The sound and the soundscape has to reflect that. Now, there's a moment closer to the end where uh, you get kind of the bass line to the theme. You get that same thing, but this time uh, it's in a full brass section. It's when Michael goes to stab Allison, and she goes to stab him, and he like grabs her hand and like turns it towards her when she's screaming, "Do it, do it, do it," or whatever. And then obviously Karen's standing behind him with the mask or whatever, and we have no idea what happens there. But I'm very intrigued. Uh, but it sounds huge. It's that same bass line, but you put it in the brass. You put it in the brass section, so all your tubas, your trombones, anything with a low sound, your horns, stuff like that, and it's all in unison, meaning they're all on the same note, and it sounds huge. I don't know if you even
Hmm.
noticed that. And that's as soon as like he goes to stab Allison. It's dope. It's really really cool. So that was obviously that I'm gonna stop there with the keyboard thing, but that was I wanted to kind of demonstrate that a little bit, and I thought it was really important to bring this up because if you are going again, I've said it like 4 times now. If you're gonna make the story bigger, you have to emphasize that with the score. The music has to sound bigger. The sounds you're using it has to sound larger, broader. It has to match what you're seeing on screen. Um, Anything you want to add to that? Really?
Well, I was just gonna say that not a lot of people really know like how important the score
Yeah,
and the sound effects matters to the
yeah.
whole movie going experience. Like it matters a lot. Just because, just take for instance, the movie that I think really puts into play was The Quiet Place, because
Oh,
that movie
absolutely.
right
Yeah,
there was primarily, it was the main focus was about sound, and like you could feel your presence within the movie.
yeah.
But that's just to get you more involved in the movie. That's just to get you more delved into it.
Right.
I think the reason where I think how that can connect with Michael Myers in Halloween, it's supposed to put you in the same fear that the actors are experiencing right now. Because when you think about it, like the Halloween theme is obviously something to put fear within you. When you hear that, it's like you get some sort of PTSD of like how scared you were in the first movie. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So just imagine hearing that, but at a grander scale. So
For sure.
it's inducing fear tenfold within you. So,
Yes.
and you can feel the music like rumble within you. I'm pretty sure if we were to see this in IMAX, my God, what John Carpenter is going to do to us is going to rivel our pants and rivel our balls or something like that. I'm
Yeah.
just saying, like it's
It's
really gonna affect the audience members tremendously.
yeah, and again, if it's done really, really well, it's something that most people probably wouldn't even notice. It would be part of your experience and what you're
Mm-hmm.
seeing. Um, but it plays a huge role. I mean, you have a one piano versus the equivalent of 40 people playing the same thing in unison as loud as they possibly can. I mean, it's just it's incomparable, really. So
Mm-hmm.
the sound is going to play a huge role in what we see from the film itself. Uh, Last thing I wanted to touch on, and we kind of briefly touched on this a little bit, but uh, we kind of thought it was important to go into a little further detail. Actual stakes involved in our characters' actions. Now, what does he mean? What do I mean by that? I really mean this for Laurie and Allison, since they're our main two. Um, Obviously, Laurie's got motive for wanting Myers dead. I mean, duh. He attacked her in 78. He's killed her friends. He caused her the PTSD and the trauma throughout her entire life. I mean, like, that, she's ready. She's willing to die if it means she kills him. And now that he's killed Ray,
Whatever it takes. I swear to God,
whatever it takes.
if I hear whatever it takes at all in this movie, I'm calling Kevin Feige immediately. Be like, sue them. I'm just like, yeah, Kevin Feige, you got to sue him. I'm sorry. I'm
Right.
sorry, Halloween fans, but they're getting sued. If I hear
Yeah,
whatever it takes, oh my God. But
I
yeah,
know.
talking about the weight of the film, yeah,
Uh,
it's going to be heavy,
It is,
100%.
and I hope that it feels heavy, based on the actions that our characters take, and based on who dies, based on the chain of events. I hope that it feels heavier than Halloween 2018 did. Um,
Yeah, because I'll put this input because I hope we feel the weight of each character. How I hope we get to see the different types of weight it carries on every single individual within the
yes,
movie, the
yes,
main characters, obviously, because as you can see, it's affected Laurie a certain way, it's affecting Tommy a certain way, and it's affecting the others in a certain way. I want to see the level of weight that this holds on each individual because that
right,
will give
right.
each character in this movie what's it called, it's different or like more significance within each character.
Yeah,
Like I want to see that. I want to see their decisions be based on how much weight they carry with the trauma
well,
and
and
this. You
also
know what
how
I
much
mean?
their decisions impact the future, and impact, what happens and how they feel later on down the road.
Mm-hmm.
The question is, how will the events of Halloween Kills change whatever characters that do survive change their weight in Halloween Ends?
Hmm.
Obviously, we can't really answer that question until we see Halloween Kills, but if the returning characters that Laurie has an emotional connection to, especially Tommy and Lindsay, because she was babysitting them in the original film, if they start dying at the hands of him, again, we talked about it. Obviously she cares. She'll probably feel guilt for some of the Haddonfield residents that die in the mob. But if Tommy and Lindsay and maybe even Karen or Allison, I think Karen is the more likely to die out of the two. But if people she has an emotional connection to start dying, it could really set her off. Like instead of Crazy
Hmm.
Loomis from H4, 5, and 6, we're gonna get Crazy Laurie. Uh, and Allison is different too. I wanted to bring up Allison because you know I've gone back and I've watched that scene where Michael turns her arm around and he goes to stab her and she yells, "Do it." Why is she yelling, "Do it"? Why? Like there has he killed her dad. He did kill her dad in the 2018 movie. And I mean, I guess yes, that is enough of an emotional catalyst
Drive. Yeah.
to find this like crazy inner strength and to just be like, I don't even care, go. But it just seems kind of
A little bit out of
Like
character.
Laurie has lived with this for 40 years and
Hmm.
Laurie is still kicking and fighting and trying to like make it. And out for Allison to just be like, do it. Like, is she just taunting him? Does she really mean like I've give up, do it? I mean, like what is it? I kind of feel like she's probably taunting him because he killed her dad and because he's almost killed her grandmother what 3 times now plus her mom. Um I don't know. I don't know. I just I feel like there has to be a reason for Allison to take on this like new emotional drive and strength that we see her have in this movie. You know, because Allison looks like she's ready to go. I mean, like she cocks the shotgun. She's standing there, and there's a group behind her. Like, holy crap! You know, I mean, she looks like she means business,
Yeah,
business.
she looks like she's ready for war,
Mm-hmm.
just like Lori. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how we could best answer that. I mean,
Well, and
I don't
it's
know.
weird.
You see how it is with like you see how our generation is mainly like you see how our generation is doing with this whole climate with the whole inequality kind of thing. You see how much we're being vocal and standing up for I guess oppression. Yeah, the best way I could put it broadly. And you see how our generation is being more forthcoming with it and we're being more vocal and active on it. I think it's kind of like putting that play
Calling
on
out
her on
things that
Allison
are
as well.
wrong.
Yeah, and it's like
Yeah.
taking a stand and like
I could
putting
see that.
their
I
own
could see that.
like carrying that responsibility on behalf. And
Yeah.
I could see that as
I
her.
don't
I think
know.
it's more like a it's like a blind. I don't want to say blind. I don't want to say blind, but yeah, it's like a blind drive
Yeah.
to fight the coming of Michael Myers. And
Yeah.
I don't think she totally grasped how supernatural Michael Myers is. You know what I mean? Like she probably still
Mm.
thinks of him as like just this crazy serial killer that just set loose. But
Well,
instead, Laurie understands that Michael Myers is not just a crazy serial killer. He is a supernatural force that's come about this town. You know what I mean? Like she has the same
yeah.
mentality as the mob.
I don't know. You like it's interesting with Allison because Laurie is different. You know, Laurie he came after Laurie in the original. Again, doesn't matter why. He did.
Mm-hmm.
He right wrong place, wrong time. He saw her. That was it. Laurie not only did she survive him, she found her friends dead.
Mm-hmm.
She was trying to take care of Tommy and Lindsay during that time. He almost killed her a few times in the original movie. Uh, Plus, she's lived with the PTSD and trauma for the last 40 years. Tommy and Lindsay were kids when they saw him. I mean, to a kid, that would be terrifying. Um, Marion actually was with Loomis when he escaped. She was his nurse, or she was the nurse with Loomis. I mean, these people have an emotional attachment and an emotional connection to fuel their anger. Before
Hmm.
the events of the last 2 or 3 hours, because you have to remember, Halloween 2018 probably took place between like 7 and 9 o'clock, and Halloween Kills is probably going to take place between like 10 o'clock and what, 1 a.m. Would
Midnight,
you
yeah,
say,
something like
mid
that.
10
Yeah.
a.m. or 10 p.m. 10 a.m. 10 p.m. and midnight or whatever. Uh, I don't know. Allison never really had any like interaction or a real connection or emotional reason to hate him. Like he was never, he was just the guy that her grandmother talked about for a long time. And if her character really balls up, which again the trailer makes it look like she's going to, there's got to be a reason. Like there's got
Hmm.
to be a reason. And I don't know. Maybe he kills Cameron and that cut before Allison does that. I don't know. I have no idea.
Maybe. But
But
I'm definitely gonna go with naive anger or something like that, because it's like
yeah.
I think it's just her, that generation just wanting to stand up against evil
Right.
force. And I think she's gonna be the one that's personifying the mob mentality. Like
Yeah.
she's gonna be the driving force of that mob mentality. And I think she won't
Oh
really realize.
shit, that was loud. That was a firework.
Oh,
That scared the crap out of me. I'm not gonna lie. Made me jump.
happy fourth, guys. Fuck
Happy
you, King
Fourth,
George.
America.
So yeah, I think I'm
uh,
excited to see Allison, Laurie, and I forget the mother's name.
Karen.
Karen. I would like to see different attitudes towards Michael Myers through those three generations. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, do you think her dad dying is enough of a catalyst for her to be like, let's do it. Let's go. Because I mean, dude, she's taunting Michael Myers. Like,
Hmm.
uh,
It's like,
you know?
you know what I think about? This makes me think of uh World at War. You remember that
Mm,
with
yeah,
Tom
yeah.
Cruise?
Yes, I
Yeah, you
do.
remember how like they run into like the actual battle? They run into one of the little skirmishes between the army and the aliens, and
Yeah.
Tom Cruise's son just immediately starts running towards the battle. It's like, I want to
Right.
see, I want to be a part of this. Blah 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 blah. How
Yeah.
can I help? That kind of reminds me of the way Allison's probably going to take it into effect. It's like there's a battle going on, there's a
Well,
fight, and
and
I want to be a part of it.
didn't his kid in War of the Worlds want to go into the military though? He wanted to be a soldier.
I don't know, but I just remember that scene right there where it was just instant. It was
Yeah.
just instant instinct. Like,
You
I
kind of
want to
go
be a
with your
part of
gut.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to be a part of this, and I think that's where Allison's gonna be. I think that's where Allison's gonna take a part in. It's like
Yeah.
that naive sense of wanting to fight without really grasping the weight of the situation, as compared to Laurie, who has well prepared herself, is a veteran of Michael Myers, and has has a full grasp of what he can do. And obviously, Karen, right?
Yes. Yes.
Karen, okay.
Karen.
As Karen, she's more like, I never wanted any part of this. I want to stay away from it completely, and that's going to be a foil with Allison's attitude, which is wanting to go straight forward into the fire.
Well, and obviously there's going to be a little bit of uh Allison probably feels a little bit of like, because I mean she even says it in the trailer. She says, my grandmother was right, the boogeyman was real, because there's a
Mm-hmm.
scene in Halloween 18 um where Allison's like, forget Michael. Like it's over. Like he's like give it up. Like it's done. Stop prepping. Stop doomsday prepping, like he's never going to come back. And her mom was Karen was taken away from Laurie when she was a kid. Uh because Laurie was so like training her to use guns and how to fight, and like, obviously uh Child Protective Services does not like that very much. Uh
Fucking liberals.
So, oh my god. So, anyways, uh, I mean, yeah, there was a little bit of denial from Karen and Allison, and of course, now that they've seen him, and now that it's like, well, holy crap, she was right. There's probably a little bit of like, okay, we need to batten down the hatches and do this thing. Like we need to stop
Hmm.
him. So I would kind of agree with that. Um, and honestly, last thing I wanted to touch on here. I know I said that before, but uh, earlier on in the show, we talked about this a little bit. We touched on it, but uh, there needs to be more exposition from our returning characters, specifically the survivors from 1978. And we talked about this with Allison and Karen and Laurie a little bit, and their kind of emotional drive here. But
Hmm.
I mean, let's think about the people returning from '78. Uh, Marion, Marion Chambers, who was with Loomis when Michael escaped. Uh, she says he's the essence of evil in the trailer, which sounds Loomisy. And honestly, Marion was the character that Loomis would have been closest to. Like out of all of the original characters, he would have been closest to her. Uh, I think it would be kind of cool if maybe even in her a little bit of exposition and what we learned from her in the movie, maybe her and Loomis even got together. I don't know. That might be stupid. That I don't know. I don't know. But she would have
I
information on
think it would.
Loomis.
Yeah, I think
He might
you
have
would
been way
definitely
too
get
young for him. I don't know.
and her. I know, right? You're over here thinking a
Yeah.
little too freaky with that.
Loomis was
But
probably
I
what,
think,
40, late 40s, early 50s in the original? Maybe?
yeah, I'd say so.
I
But then
don't
again, I don't know what it is.
know.
Yeah, but I was gonna say through her exposition within this movie, I would like to see more. I would like to know more about what Dr. Loomis's experience was after the events of
After
the
1978,
initial.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Like I want
because
to know like what information did he give her, and what has he done to like at least teach
yeah.
society of this absolute monster.
Well, and we'll partially have to wait to see how the flashback goes because we know, here are the facts. We
Yeah,
know
here are the
that
facts.
Loomis shot him off the balcony, and when Loomis looked down, he was gone. That's the end of the first film. And we know from the beginning of 2018 that he was captured the same night. It didn't go years away and he was captured. He was captured the same night in 1978. So the
Hmm.
flashback is going to kind of fill in the gap in between the original and where he's captured. And I'm assuming that's where our Loomis cameo is going to come in. Uh,
Yeah.
but what happened after he was captured? Did Marion stay with Loomis as his nurse? Did Loomis stay? Did Was Michael still Loomis's patient after that? Did Loomis still try to reach him, or what was the deal? There's the snippet in Halloween 2018 where Loomis is on the cassette tape and he's like, I suggest termination, like inject him, whatever, and then burn his body. And they're like, no, what does he say? He's like when his primary life function is have extinguished, my ear on his chest to verify that there's no life or whatever he says, and then he's like, burn his body or whatever. Loomis is serious. Like Loomis wanted him wiped off of the face of the earth. So I honestly, that's kind of what I'm looking forward to most
Which
from
I'm
Marion's character.
which
Is
I'm
like,
still so surprised by that, honestly. You know what I mean?
what do you mean
Like,
that Loomis was like,
no, the fact that
oh
this Michael Myers just wasn't like killed off, instead of just being held in a fucking mental hospital. I mean,
yeah,
take a look at Ted Bundy. They fucking juiced him up after what? Several kills that he's
but to
made,
be
several
fair, he
murders.
only kills like 4 or 5 people in the original. I think it's what, four?
Is that not enough? Where was
Bob
this at? Where was this
Bob
at? I
Lin
need to know. Where was this? Where's Haddonfield from?
Illinois. Haddonfield,
Illinois.
Illinois. Small town
They
in
must have had
Illinois.
the death penalty. They must have had the death penalty. Let's be honest. That was in 1978. Yeah, they must have had the
Smith
death
Gross
penalty there.
Warren County Sanitarium.
They must have. I don't.
I don't know. Well, they
I mean,
didn't.
that's one thing.
For
That's one
whatever
thing
reason,
I'll
they
never
didn't.
understand. I want to see Dr. Loomis because obviously this Dr. Loomis I fucking love because he's more gun ho on like fucking
For
smearing
those of
this
you who
man.
don't
And
know, Miguel couldn't stand Dr. Loomis in the Rob Zombie movies.
yeah, he was a fucking twat. But I want to see more in the flashbacks. I want to see Dr. Loomis like fight to have him killed, and I want to see the idiocy of Haddonfield's government like saying, I mean, no, that we're not going to kill him. We're going to keep him here and study him, or some
Yeah.
bullshit like that. How you
Well,
would like how you would with like the whole like Jurassic Park thing. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like instead of killing it off, they just decided to capture and study it. It's like, no, that's a killing machine. Fucking destroy it.
Yeah.
I want to see a scene like that.
I mean, I don't know. Marion, uh, again, the thing that I think I'm most looking forward to about having her in the film is the fact that she is kind of away, even though he is in the flashback, but I kind of feel like they may be a little bit limited into what they can show with the flashback because you don't want to screw up Donald Pleasance's character. You know what I mean? You don't want to. I don't know if they're gonna CGI him. I don't know if they're gonna. I don't know what they're gonna do. I mean, I don't know if they got a look-alike. I have no idea. But
They
uh,
did it to my boy Paul Walker, and they did it to my girl Carrie Fisher. I mean,
I
you might as
know. I
well.
don't. I guess they could. They very well could. But having Marion in the movie could be a way of having Loomis in the movie without having Loomis in the movie. You know what I mean? Because of the information
Yeah.
she could have on him.
Hmm.
Uh, Also, Tommy and Lindsay. What did Tommy? I mean, Tommy and Lindsay were kids. Laurie was babysitting, babysitting them. But
Babysitting.
what do they remember? You know, what did Tommy and Lindsay remember? Did they have the same kind of like trauma from it that Laurie did? Remembering him walking up the stairs and turning when Tommy screamed or whatever. I mean, did they remember that? Uh, Obviously, Tommy looks pretty pissed. Anthony Michael Hall's character looks. He's got the baseball bat. He looks like he's ready to start swinging.
Yeah, he swung. He swung at a poor guy's car. I like.
I know.
What the fuck? Like,
That's
I would be
another scene
pissed.
That's another scene I've rewatched. I'm like, why is he hitting the car? Like, what is he
Yeah, I
just?
would
Is
be
he
pissed
angry?
if that was
Like what's going on?
if that was my car. If that was my car, and I saw someone do it, I'd be like, okay, hold on. Listen, I know you're mad at the serial killer, but that's my Astro van. Don't fuck up my Astro van, guy. You're paying for this now.
Could you
100%.
imagine a whole group of people? They're out looking for this mass murderer, and they're trying to find him and kill him or whatever. And he hits somebody's car, and it's like, whoa, Tommy,
It's like, whoa.
that's a
Tommy,
Lexus.
calm down.
Why
Yeah.
you don't hit a Lexus?
Exactly. Like, what the fuck? It made no sense for me to see him hit that.
Let's
hit
not
that
go
car.
too far here. But I mean,
Go too far. They're out here trying to hunt a human being down.
I know,
But
right?
heaven forbid he hits a Lexus.
I mean, to be fair, they're trying to hunt a psychopath human being down, though.
Yeah, but I'm glad there's still morals within this story, I guess. There's still priorities left.
Yeah, and also Lonnie. Uh, Now this may be kind of a spoiler alert, semi-alert, but I guess not really because let me think. We did see Lonnie. We in a couple of the flashback scenes we've already gotten glimpses of. The teaser when the movie was delayed. Uh, is it that one? What teaser is it?
I
No,
don't
it's
know.
the longer one. It's the one that they call the next Halloween teaser. Lonnie it's a brief snippet of Lonnie running down the street, and he's got like his trick or treat thing, and he's looking behind him. And there's a still of Michael, and it's Michael. It's flashback Michael. Like the mask is solid white before it got all crinkly and decayed and whatever. And Lonnie is walking down the street, probably after Loomis just said, "Lonnie, get your ass away from there," in that scene. But I mean, obviously, it's Lonnie. Like 100%, it's Lonnie, and I mean, his character is going to have a pretty big part of the flashback.
Mm-hmm.
And why? Like, I wonder why. Is he going to have a memory of, I mean, did he have a run in with Michael after Michael got shot off of the roof and, whatever? I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm very curious about the characters that are returning from 1978 because obviously Halloween 2018 was all about Laurie and her trauma and
Mm-hmm.
how it affected her and her family. But
Yeah.
the reason that I say Halloween Kills should be more focused on the 1978 survivors and the mob is because we know Laurie's side of it. Save Laurie for ends. I want to hear how Tommy and Lindsay and Marion and Lonnie and who else is a returning character? That might even be it. I don't know. But I want to hear how it affected them. Like, I want to see their emotional drive to want to kill this homeboy, you know?
His homeboy.
This homeboy, this hombre. Like, I want to know why they, I want to know why, what's fueling them other than the fact that they don't want to go, that then they don't want kids nowadays to go through this, you know? So,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's kind of my take on it. I mean, you got anything else to add before we hop off here? I think we've made it through pretty much
I mean,
everything.
no, I mean, as for someone that's like not too well known into the Michael Myers lore, I mean, I can't give any type of perspectives as to what we want to see from a Halloween fan. I mean, only from like a general audience. I mean, you're getting the opinions of a general audience member that's going to watch this movie, and pretty much my general consensus of what I want to see is just, I want to see like an all-out search party or slash war between Michael
Yeah.
Myers, and I would love to see a moment where it's a group of people. It's like a group standing off in front of Michael. Like, I would love to see that. Like Michael
Right.
Myers turning a corner, and there's like a group of like 6 people just
I
staring him
think we're
down.
gonna get that. I really
I would
do.
love, I would love to see that, or at least like, or like obviously that wouldn't happen, but like I want to see a part where Michael Myers has turned the corner and they're like a good distance away,
Yeah.
and he sees a group and the group sees him and they run after him. Michael Myers, peeks through the corner and hides off and then picks them off one by one, Rambo style. Like, because I mean, how
Rambo
Rambo just,
Michael.
yeah, Rambo Michael. We're gonna see that. We're gonna see him like
When
utilize.
Karen rips the mask off of him and she's like, "Come get it!" It's gonna be Sylvester Stallone standing under there. He'll be standing
I
there in the
think.
doorway, like, "What?"
Mhm. I think. I think one thing we can honestly mention is maybe the fact that she grabs a mask. I think she was like luring him into a group.
She
It could
is.
be a yeah.
Well, I think she's doing two things there, from what I understand.
Obviously
I think
stopping
she's,
Allison from being
yeah, she's
murdered.
trying to save her daughter, but she's also trying to lure him out of the house and into probably a
The
bigger group
street.
of people. Um, I do think, and minor spoiler alert, possibly maybe, I've heard things, and I've said from day one, I think Allison is, or not Allison, I think Karen is the most likely to die. I really do, and I almost believe that may be her death scene. I think it
Could
might
be.
be. I think it might be, or close to it.
Hmm.
I think. I think. Again, I haven't read the script. I don't know for sure. It's kind of my guess. I feel like if you take his mask, he's like, well,
I mean, yeah, it's the
here
same.
we go.
It's the same. It has the same parallel as like the fucking uh podcast people. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The journalists.
Investigative journalists.
And yeah, exactly. It's the same parallel. It's like him holding the mask. It's like
My God,
if you're holding his what?
you're good. Keep going. Keep going.
I was gonna say like the parallels between those two. It's like if you hold Michael's main source of power, 'cause, his mask is like his sense of identity, obviously.
Yeah.
And if you hold that, that's pretty much a death sentence for you to hold that. You're holding that power that
Yeah.
Michael needs.
That
So he's
mask
gonna
is
do
like a
whatever he can.
character in and of itself.
It is.
How,
It's what's his name? I forget. Captain Kirk.
yeah, it is.
It's William Shatner. Yeah, it's William Shatner.
It quite literally is. God, how freaking awful terrifying would it be if Karen, like, she's like, come get it, and Michael literally stops on the porch and he's like, and just starts being like, that would be awful. But yeah, man, I think this movie is going to be great. And again, these five things are broad, but they're five things that we think will really put it over the edge. A bigger
Hmm.
score, more exposition from our 1978 characters, a focus on the mob, things like that. More stalking cat-like behavior from Myers kind of equate the 78 Myers and the 2018 Myers, because again, in 1978 he was a lion. He would stalk you for, I mean, he stalked Laurie literally the entire afternoon and slowly picked off all of the people close to her before he got to her. I mean, he was
Hmm.
patient. This version of Michael is just like kill, 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 and there really wasn't very much suspense. And I mean, there were very few moments in the 2018 film where I was like, "Oh my god, what's he gonna do?" You know. And I kind of want to, even though we know this is gonna be like straight up carnage and brutality, I hope there is a little bit more suspense and a little bit more of that, like, I'm waiting in the shadows for you kind of thing. You know.
Yeah,
You had said
I
last week you
agree.
don't know if there's gonna be though. You were
What
like, I don't
what did
know.
I say?
You were like, I don't know if there's gonna be very much like stalking and like waiting for people in this one. You were like, I feel like he's just gonna be like, well, you die, and you're gonna die too. Like,
Pretty much. I mean, yeah. Now that I think about it, I could see that. I think with it could be like a whole like Kill Bill sequence where he's just like taking people one on one. Because let's
yeah,
be honest, you see what you saw. It'd be awesome if we saw more of that. More of the firefighter scene, like him taking on like a group of three, a group of four, and just people just like becoming. Again, it's what I mentioned. Like throughout this movie, like his fear is going to resonate throughout the town. And I think
mm-hmm.
what may happen is he meets a couple more uh groups of the mob and they go after him and he takes them
Mm-hmm.
down one by one. And maybe there's a survivor that gets away and meets
Yeah,
up with the rest of the group and they're like, dog,
yo,
he kicked our ass. He
yeah,
kicked our ass. I don't know what to do, guys.
yeah.
Like he took down three of us. I don't know.
I'll tell you what.
So
I need to show you Halloween 4, which is obviously one of the original sequels. But there's
is
this
that the one
same.
where it's like, is that the scene where it's like trick or treat motherfucker or something like that?
No, God, that's
Yeah.
Resurrection. No, that's in the deep dark skid marks of the franchise. We're gonna save that for the very end. Uh, that we're getting into Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 territory with
Hmm.
Resurrection. No, H4 kind of has the same, not mob mentality. It's not quite the extent that Halloween Kills is taking it, um, but basically Michael wipes out the police force, uh, and there's kind of like a mob vigilante group that kind of is going after him, and it's kind of the same thing, but not. And
Hmm.
again, I would almost kind of think, I would like to think that Halloween Kills was almost loosely inspired by not only H4 and that whole vigilante justice thing, but also that scene in the original Halloween 2 from 1981 where the cops show up at his house, at the abandoned Myers house, and there's a crowd of people throwing rocks through the windows, and they're like screaming and chanting, and like it's like this small town, uh it's like small town vigilante justice, like,
Hmm.
the scene in Spider-Man from 2002 when the guy's like, you pick on one of us, you pick on all of us, when he's talking to Willem
Joey
Dafoe.
Diaz.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
No, wait. No, 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 no. I'm thinking of someone else.
Oh,
Oh yeah,
I
you're
don't know
talking
who the
about you.
actor was, but
Oh no, I'm talking about Spider-Man 2, where like
oh,
Doc Ock comes in
no,
and
no,
Joey
yeah,
Diaz is like, yeah,
same thing, but not the scene I was talking about. I'm talking about
it's
at
just.
the end when MJ's dangling in
Hmm.
the little car thing. I don't even know what it is. I forgot what it's called. We did one in New York, but anyways,
The gondola or whatever.
yeah, I don't know what it's called.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, but guys,
I could totally
that
see
is
that.
gonna do it, I think, for episode 28 of Let's Talk Movies. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. We that was a lot of conversation. We just talked a
It
lot
was.
about a whole bunch of different things. Please tell us, what do you want to see most from Halloween Kills? What do you want to see come out of the movie? And comment down below. Let us know your thoughts on the stuff that we talked about tonight. New episodes of Let's Talk Movies and Let's Talk Movie News drop on Mondays and Fridays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, in video form on YouTube, in audio form on Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, everywhere else you listen to podcasts. We are on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at We Talk the Movies, and we will be back with episode 29 of Let's Talk Movies next Monday. We're talking Marvel versus DC. We're going to take a Halloween Kills break for a little bit, and we're going to talk Marvel versus DC, and that is going to be a fun time. Deep inside of us.
Wholeheartedly.
It's going to be a good time. Be sure to follow us on social media, because we're going to be dropping a couple things throughout the week where we're going to have you guys vote and stuff. So this is going to be a really cool episode, and then we'll have Let's Talk Movie News on Friday night. So thank you guys so much for listening. Hope you had a great 4th of July. Have a great work week, and we will see you. Bye.